Good evening and welcome to the April edition of Hempfield Happenings.
This month we will be featuring stories about the most recent musical and the behind-the-scenes work that it takes to put on such a large production.
A student composer who has found success in what he loves to do.
And the hockey team and how their challenging season helps them to succeed.
So stay tuned because this is Hempfield Happenings. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, take drop turns.
Last month, Hempfield High School presented the production Into the Woods. Although the show was performed live only 4 times, the cast and crew were hard at work long before the audience took their seats. Christopher Lynch gave Hempfield Happenings an exclusive look at what goes on behind the scenes.
Once upon a time.
The musical this year, Into the Woods, was a huge success. However, some audience members don't realize all that goes into putting the show together.
Into the Woods this year at Hempfield High School was a big undertaking for me because it's the first time I actually got to do a show that didn't have big dance numbers in it. It was a show that basically was about storytelling and how you tell stories to children and how fairy tales can be perceived to many different people.
I like to refer to the pit orchestra as the engine that is driving the show.
As the director, my job was to tell a clear story to the audience, to take our perspective of what we were doing and put that onto the stage.
In the musical, it is my role to both design a concept that is to be used on stage and paint the objects that are then constructed by the team that fills that role.
The technical director is in charge of making sure all the technical aspects of the show, set, lighting, sound, special effects, all that comes under my purview.
And then on top of that, we have costuming in the case of trying to make a witch out of a teenage girl.
It's always great to have a good team as a director because when you have a good team and a team that you trust, the product is always going to be so much better because you're all on the same page.
The way shows roll out, it kind of builds in intensity as more and more people come into the realm of the stage to accommodate a given show. You've been working on the stage and constructing a set all of the months prior to the show, and then all of a sudden you have actors coming onto the stage and walking through and on and around the set pieces that you've created. And then you get the musical aspects brought into play with the pit coming in. And then the crew is there waiting in the wings and making things come together and flow seamlessly.
Bringing all departments together in a text situation, which is usually a short amount of time. We got into the theater, we reblocked the show, and then we add in the orchestra, and we keep adding departments. The hardest thing about it is no matter how organized you are and prepared with each department, when you come together, there's always going to be issues that need to be solved.
Being a large district and one that's committed to the arts, we typically have a good crew of people to make everything happen that we can envision.
To be able to put these productions on at this level, it's taken for granted, not only in the building, but in the community.
What people need to know is that they come and they see the product and they see the culmination of all the hard work. And what I want people to really know is that it's more about the process, and that's where the learning is. That's where the experience is. Yes, you go home with the memory of the great applause and wow, we did that, but it's getting there that's equally important.
So whether behind the scenes or in the spotlight, remember that students were hard at work to transport audiences into the woods. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Christopher Lynch.
The spring concert is an annual tradition at Hempfield, and it allows students involved in the orchestra, band, and chorus to showcase both classical and modern music. This year, the concert repertoire included a very current composition, Expedition, composed by sophomore bassist Isaac Meyers. Jackie Nikoloff took a look at what prompted his journey into writing music.
Hempfield is home to a music program with students who go above and beyond to prove their abilities. Isaac Meyers has done such through composing his own pieces.
A current sophomore at the high school, Isaac began his music career with the piano and bass.
I have started playing music back, I don't even know, a while ago, like 7 years ago.
In 9th grade, Isaac started to create compositions as well.
I gave an assignment last year when he was a freshman to all the orchestra students. They were supposed to write an etude, which is like a musical exercise or study. I told them it could be 8 to 16 measures just for their own instrument alone, and they had probably 3 or 4 weeks to accomplish this. And I think either the next day or 2 days later, way before it was due, he came in and handed me a full score for an entire orchestral piece.
I don't think I ever thought about composing before then.
That day during Flex, a bunch of his classmates said, "Can we play Isaac's piece?" So I passed it out. I went and made copies, passed it out to them, and they loved it. So I actually changed the program that I had planned for that May, and the Concert Strings, which is the freshman group, performed his piece, and it was really successful, and everybody loved it. And at the beginning of this year, I said, "So Isaac, what do you have for us this year?" Didn't take long before he handed us Expedition.
And Expedition was played by the Symphony Strings Orchestra in March.
It's kind of surreal almost, because I'm performing something I wrote for an entire audience.
The students, you could tell that that piece was really special to them. They played it differently than they played the other music, which I think is just really cool.
It's like amazing to get the chance to play a song by like someone who's actually in the orchestra. You can't really be in the same orchestra as Bach or Mozart, so to be in the same orchestra as the composer and to have his input is just really valuable, and it's a really cool experience.
I think that he has an incredible talent and he should continue with it.
I'm trying to expand my amount of instruments. Like I've looked at some wind and brass instruments.
Isaac was recently inducted into the school's Tri-M Music Honor Society, and along with participating in the choir and orchestra, he plans to continue composing pieces.
There's a great source for music right in the bass section.
For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Jackie Nikoloff.
Every once in a while, students have in-service days, but they're not the ones in service. Kaylee Gallagher got schooled on what happens in the building when the students have a day off.
What you're going to receive is a little packet of paper, so you'll be in charge of 4 different groups. There should be 8 of them in here.
Teacher in Service Day. It's a phrase that students know well because it gives them a day off of school. But do they really know the reason behind it?
I have no idea. Probably just work. I don't know, teacher stuff.
Catch up with other teachers and figure out improvements for their classwork and stuff.
Sit in the faculty rooms or in their rooms just doing work and doing boring stuff.
Work on grades and stuff.
Mr. Bremersky explains the real purpose behind these days.
In-service days are opportunities for our staff, teachers and administrators, to continue their learning. They work with each other. They learn from experts that we bring in from outside of our district. Our staff had a menu of options to participate and select sessions from, ranging from how do we support all types of learners.
Technically-wise, it might be changing it too, but
some presenters at past Teacher in Service Days share why they believe the sessions displayed on these days are necessary.
It's a good chance for us to get to share information and to learn things that we might not know before. A lot of times we're talking about changes that are coming into the school or changes in education in general.
It's really an opportunity where teachers can learn other ways to that would help benefit students. It's a good day that teachers can be working with other teachers, presenting different pieces of information that will help them in the classroom to be better teachers.
And I think that's just kind of how it is for everybody.
Even teachers attending the sessions agreed that they are beneficial.
The best opportunity is collaboration, where we can share ideas. It might be a topic that you taught and you might have a resource for it. You could share it with somebody at that point. So it just brings people together.
Things work, so I tend to love my science.
While the students may be off for the day, the teachers are hard at work at school. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Kaylee Gallagher.
Hey Liz, did you know that the chances of having a perfect March Madness bracket are 1 in 9.2 quintillion?
Well, did you know that the freshmen at the high school just had a March Madness factoring contest? I'm not quite sure what the odds of a perfect bracket for that competition are, but Jack Rule might have the solution to how the tournament added up.
We're doing a factoring tournament.
A factoring tournament.
We're doing the factoring tournament.
Here at Hempfield High School, freshman students competed in a factoring tournament held by their math teachers. They battled head-to-head, similar to this, until they found a champion.
It's kind of like March Madness, the NCAA tournament is. We're making a tournament out of it to see who's the fastest. We learned it, then we reviewed a lot, and then we just did the tournament, and then sometimes after we'd review.
We're kind of competing against other kids from other classes and our own classes about doing factoring and seeing who can get it fastest.
Math teacher Mark Vogel shares his take on the tournament.
We just kind of relate it to the March Madness, the NCAA basketball tournament, because it's like a bracket, so we kind of talk about that. So that's kind of related to what's going outside of school in sports and bringing it into the classroom, which is a lot of fun. It's basically a tournament where the students are factoring quadratics, so we'll do one of the sections, practice that, students will do homework, come in the next day, review that, ask any questions, and then learn the next section and kind of keep that process going. Well, the next thing they have to put it into application problems where we actually show them where this could be used in the real world, and they'll be tested on this at the end of the chapter also. It's like a 3-day tournament. The first day, most of the problems are pretty easy. We'll throw some greatest common factors in there too. The second day, they definitely get to be much more challenging, and then we get to the final 4, and you really see where the studs are at.
2 big claps for Faith, ready?
Once they put their marker in the chalk tray, their answer is final. So you'll see sometimes they'll put the marker down and they'll look up and say, oh, they realize they saw something that they made a minor mistake, but they can't go back and fix it.
When all of the class tournaments were finished, the top winners of each group met in one room to discover who was the fastest factorer.
Each class will have one overall winner. Out of the 8 Algebra 1 classes, we'll take these winners, and down to the LG during Flex, we'll have a final 8 where they kind of match off and we come down to a final Algebra 1 champion at the end.
The 2016 tournament winner was Nick Stasiak. So whether it's March Madness or March Mathness, these students don't mind the racket about the bracket. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Jack Rule.
Tiggly may seem like a funny word, but it is a new technology available at the elementary level. Jason Furlong visited the schools to see how it works.
Hey, Doc! I'm stuck on this big word. I know it means introducing a new method or idea.
There are many different resources that give students the opportunity to learn, whether it be books here in the library or technology in your hand.
Tiggly is an educational app that utilizes small figures that the users place on the tablet to interact with one of their many learning-based games. Teachers in the elementary schools are eager to implement the app into their daily schedule.
I started using Tigglies with my students at the beginning of this school year. They were introduced to me by Mrs. Sue Allen, and she said that they'd be a great interactive way to help kids in kindergarten learn to use the iPads, and they're hands-on, and they would help with letter names and letter sounds and with counting. I think it really helps those kids who are visual learners and who learn best through hands-on manipulatives. I have Tigglies that are in the shapes of letters and the shapes of number sets, and it really helps them to be able to manipulate those small pieces, and they move them, they put them right on the iPads, and I just think it really helps them with their learning.
Yeah, it helps me a lot because, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does, because sometimes I already know the word, but then I learn a lot of new words for this.
think it's great to use technology in all classrooms. Our kindergarten students next year are going to be part of the one-to-one iPad initiative in first grade. So they are very comfortable with using the iPads, and the Tigglies really help with that.
This is one of the many steps that are being taken to implement technology into schools to improve the learning process. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Jason Furlong.
All happy again? This doctor is good, I'm telling you.
The 9th Grade Academy is a new and growing program which helps to ease the transition between middle school and high school. The incentive program, now a part of the Academy, motivates students to do better in class, and in return they get something special every Friday. Emily Moser gives us more details about the new program.
The incentive program was something that was created by 3 of our special education teachers that work within the 9th Grade Academy. And they did it as part of their professional development last year, trying to find ways to inspire and motivate 9th graders to work hard, and then also for a way for them to be recognized by our staff.
During the first marking period, we talked about it, we looked at the options, and we developed a game plan in order to implement it for this school year.
We spent some time figuring out what we thought might be motivating to 9th grade students and also what was available to us financially.
For the overall second marking period, we wanted the students to focus on a few areas. The first being all grades of an 87% or higher. Next, no discipline referrals. And then finally, no unexcused tardies or unexcused absences from school. Out of approximately 600 students in the 9th Grade Academy, we had about 85 students who achieved in those 3 areas.
Students able to meet the requirements were given tickets, allowing them to go to Freedom Friday.
Freedom Friday is the idea where the students get to leave Flex about 5 to 10 minutes early to head to the cafeteria.
And then Dr. Becker and I actually put on hairnets and gloves, and we scrub up to serve the freshman students lunch. So that's just a bonus for them to see us doing something goofy and interact with them. In a big school like this, I think being able to do anything to motivate students or let them know, like, we see what you're doing and we think that you're doing an awesome job, and like, here's just a little something to maybe brighten your day.
With a bright future ahead, the Freshman Incentive Program helps to continue to grow while giving students a reason to succeed. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Emily Moser.
Congratulations on a successful swim season as the team captured their 3rd straight league title. Trey Fasella won gold at States and Coach Beck notched his 300th win. On the frozen pool, the Hempfield ice hockey team wrapped up their season. Zach Lehman skated over to the ice rink to get a recap of their strong season.
The Hempfield ice hockey team is full of many players that want to win, but like many other teams, they did run into their challenges.
The coach of the Hempfield ice hockey team is Mr. Kenny Rose.
Well, on the ice, I think it's a struggle that every team has, and it's you have cohesiveness and chemistry that you always are trying to find the best way to match that.
The players shared their own opinion on how the season went.
It's always hard to get acclimated with their new systems coming up, and for the younger kids, just getting to know everyone. And it is a new group of guys every year with high school hockey. That's one of the challenging parts, just because we think we lost like 5 seniors last year, and they were a big part of our team. So getting used to everyone else and getting some of the guys playing more, that's always a challenge. I thought we battled through it well.
Some of the struggles we had on the ice this year were staying out of the penalty box. We like to take penalties, and it kind of came back and bit us towards the end of the games when we had guys who were on the penalty kill, worn out, and tired.
The challenges made them a stronger team throughout the hockey season.
I think they learned a lot. I think they were learning as they went, and all of a sudden, when it came to these challenges that they had to rise to the occasions, they figured out a way to get it done, and they did. They got the job done.
I think when we played the weaker teams, it helped the younger kids that haven't had as much experience play more, so then when we did play stronger teams, they weren't as afraid or scared.
It taught us how to learn and build on our feet as the games go on.
The expectations were set high for the hockey team.
Well, I definitely think we could have made it further. Should have been in the championship.
I was like, all right, this team's going places, and I had no doubt in my mind we were going to the championship game. And not getting there, it hurt.
This year, we had a great year. I mean, lost in the playoffs, which is always a bummer, but other than that, great season.
The struggles can make a team stronger. This led to them making the semifinals. Unfortunately, they lost 8-4 against Elizabethtown. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Zach Lehman.
You have probably heard of Twitter and Facebook, but how about Instagram? Instagram is Hempfield School District's newest way to share information with students and the community. Sarah Moser logs on to get more information.
You may be familiar with using Twitter or Facebook to communicate with the Hempfield School District. Now there is a new platform that students and parents can use to interact.
Instagram is a social media platform that allows us to connect with users who are using Instagram, just like Facebook or Twitter, which tend to be a little bit more well-known.
Most importantly, it's a series of photos that tell a story. For us, it means having pictures that include not only our staff, but our students and what's going on. So it allows us to engage them in their busy lives on something that they're already using. So Instagram just seemed like the next thing that we needed to consider.
I think the benefit to students is that they can see different things that are going on across the district. They may be involved in one area of school life, but there's something else that's going on that they may not be aware of.
I think it's very helpful since so many students use it. You can get very good information.
All the teenagers are involved in it, so they will get the message. If Hempfield High School has a message for them, they can post it through Instagram.
We also just love when students follow us, engage with us, either by liking photos or by commenting, by submitting photos through hashtags, or just letting us know what they want us to highlight as well.
If you want to stay in the loop on what's going on around Hempfield, make sure you follow Hempfield SD on Instagram today. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Sarah Moser.
Hempfield High School has 2 security officers with a unique past, which helps them to connect with students on a personal level and create a fun, safe environment in the hallways. Michaela Quinn explains how they continue to build these relationships with the students.
Have a good day.
Hempfield works hard to ensure the safety of their students, but the security doesn't just come from above.
2 security officers have made Hempfield their home in the last 2 years.
Anytime that we have a situation that requires more than one adult, if we needed to search somebody or a locker, we'd have them with us. They work the buses in the morning at the top of the lot where the private school buses come in. They run the camera systems here. We have over 140 cameras, and they're in charge of making sure they're running, and if we need video of something or if we need help with something, we'd go to them first.
The officers have spent most of their lives either serving others or their country.
So I went into the military right after high school, so that's what I did for 28 years, and then I retired.
After high school, I went into the military. I was in the Marines for 4 years. I got discharged from the Marines, went to school for a while, and then decided that I wanted to help people out, so I became a state trooper. And I really didn't envision working after I retired from the state police. But this is a unique opportunity for me to work with youth and work at a part-time job, having the summers off and the weekends, so it's a great retirement job for me.
Building relationships with the students has proven to be the most important factor in keeping the school safe.
I mean, our philosophy is that we try to treat you all with respect, and in return, we expect the same from you. So up to this point, it's worked out pretty well for us. You know, the kids really don't give us a hard time. If we ask them to do something, they do it. And I think it's for the most part because we don't talk down to them, we don't yell at them, we don't, do stuff to make them feel insignificant. We treat them the way we want to be treated, and in return, we get that.
We're more like community services workers, actually. We try to build up a good rapport with the students. That way, when we see them upset or if we find out that there's an issue, we can approach those students and try to figure out a way to nullify it, offering suggestions such as going to the principal or guidance counselor and just talking to them like a person to person and listening. That's important, to always listen to someone.
Other people have noticed their effects on the school thus far.
These guys are perfect. They both had experience. They're both
seem to be really great at, talking with students and everything, and more of like the big brother kind of thing, like where somebody can come and feel comfortable talking with them about whatever, what's going on in the school, things like that.
Outside of their official duties of security and safety for the school, they're more like ambassadors to the students. They spend every lunch in the cafeteria with them. They see them in the hallways and the commons. They never give out any type of discipline, so students don't have to worry about if they say something, they're going to get in trouble. They're more likely to open up to them than they are to a teacher sometimes, or even to a principal, because if you say something to me, I have to do something about it, and I'm the guy that gives detentions and things, and they're not, so they're very accessible to the kids, which has proved very helpful to us.
The Hempfield Security Officers play an important role here at the high school. For Hempfield Happenings, I'm Michaela Quinn.
That's all for this month's edition of Hempfield Happenings.
We'll see you here next month, and in the meantime, enjoy the warm weather.